What up, Vibers? Welcome to another episode of the Vibe with Kai podcast. In today's episode, I'm joined by the amazing Dr. Kryss Shane again. No day but today. Yeah, I said it. Yeah, I said it. You've probably seen Dr. Kryss's work on social media, social justice, mental health, LGBTQ plus advocacy. You bring such a rare mix of academic brilliance and a real world heart that I feel like just hits home. Like you're just a human being. And I know that sounds like it goes without saying, but like I can't say that for everybody. I can't say that everybody is a human being.
No.
Like you're just a genuine human. And so that's why I'm really excited for today, because today we're talking about what it means to find joy, especially when life and the world feels so heavy. We'll dig into ADHD and mental health and how joy can sometimes be a form of resistance, and we're gonna navigate our way through this. I want to welcome our guest today, Dr. Kryss Shane, to the show. What's up, Dr. Kryss?
Hi, my friend. How's it going?
I'm good. I'm good. I was saying before we started recording today that for a moment I thought that our recording was going to be interrupted today because I had ordered my food, my dinner, and it did not come. It took forever for them to make it. And so I'm like, I think it's going to be delivered during this podcast, but it got delivered before we started recording. So we're good now. We're fine. Everything's okay. We can,
If it's not okay, we need
I
to know
found my
what you
joy.
ordered. We have to know
I got
what you
Raisin
ordered.
Canes. Raisin Canes. I love Raisin Canes. Are you familiar with it?
I am, but I feel like, is that a
Yeah.
dish that has cheese on it? Since I know you're kind of known for your love of cheese, like me.
You know, what's really funny is that like, do I eat cheese? Yes, of course. Do I love cheese? Yes, of course. But like, I don't put it on everything. So like, whenever somebody sees me eating something that's not cheese related, they're like, "Are you okay?" Like, yes. I got like Raisin Canes is it's have you ever heard of them before?
Yeah, I've had.
Yeah. So like they're for those of you that don't know, they're known for their chicken tenders. Like it's some delicious chicken tenders, and I love Raisin Canes. But I usually just get the chicken tenders and the fries and barbecue sauce. They have like a Raisin Canes like sauce, but I'm not a big fan of it, so I just like doing barbecue sauce.
I mean,
That's my life.
I hear what you're saying, and I
Yeah.
support you as my friend. And also, I'm not going to lie, I feel like, and I kind of hope the comments are filled with people that are like, how dare you eat something not cheese? Because I just feel
People
like you
will say
set us
that
up for
sometimes.
disappointment now.
They will say that. Like the other day was World Chocolate Day, and I like put up a picture of me eating chocolate, and like people were like, "That's not cheese." Well, yeah, it's not. Like I
Okay, but
I
there's
don't
that
always eat
fudge. There's
cheese.
a fudge recipe that has some sort of cheese in it.
I
I
people
don't
are
know how I
saying
feel
that,
about that. I've
and
never had it.
I believe them. However, I don't need to have cheese on everything. I love cheese. I just don't
Right.
need to have it all the time, always. Because I like having
Yes.
arteries that are not clogged.
All
That's
right,
fun.
that's fair. That is a
I do
fair
want to
and
live a
logical answer.
long, full life. That's the goal. That's
Right.
the goal.
Smaller amounts of cheese at a time means longer life of eating cheese.
Yeah. Facts.
Right.
Facts.
Right.
And cheese brings me joy.
Yes.
Do you see that? See that segue that
I
I just
love that.
did?
I was going
You
to
like
go
that
there if you
segue?
didn't.
I'm known for my segues. You used a phrase we were talking the other day on the Instagram. Yes, I said the Instagram because I'm 85 years old. You said a phrase. You said joy as resistance, and like that hit me hard when you said it. Explain to the people listening, what does joy as resistance mean?
Yeah, so I really feel like what's happening politically right now, for anybody paying attention to any aspect, things just feel not great at
Hmm.
the kindest way of wording that. And I think
Hmm.
what's being intended is this sense of isolation, this sense of sadness, this sense of being overwhelmed and exhausted. And so to me, when I look at it, how can I fight that? I can fight that by being in community. So
Hmm.
that might be a conversation like we're having. It might be comments like people are going to be making under this conversation and on our social media pages and commenting on each other's things too.
Sure.
And it's just what brings joy in the face of all the things that are trying to say you don't get to be happy. You don't get to have this. You don't get to be happy. You don't get to be sleeping well. You don't get to be whatever it is that you're trying to be or wanting to be or have been. So to me, this idea of seeking out joy and saying in the face of all those people and all that insanity, you know what? Pound sand, I'm going to be joyous. And that
Mm-hmm.
might be like, I'm joyous in this moment, eating a bite of cheese or chocolate. It might be, I'm going to be joyous watching a rerun of an episode of Golden Girls. Please
Mm-hmm.
feel free to comment below. Tell me your favorite episode. Legit, reading your comments will bring me more joy. Journey to the Center of Attention is my favorite episode by far, just saying. But any of those moments of joy, I know that you've got a Gilmore Girls event coming up
Yeah.
where you get to not only have joy, but bring joy to other people, bring joy to the people who were in the show.
Yeah.
All of that joy, just bringing it out of each other and ourselves, to me is really the goal now more than ever.
Right. So why do you feel like so many people, especially those with ADHD, struggle to find joy?
I think we're told joy isn't really okay. I think
Yeah.
we're told
Yeah.
so much, you've got stuff to do. There's stuff to get done, there's tasks to
Mm-hmm.
do, there's garbage to take out, there's a kitchen to clean, there's a toilet to scrub. If you've got ADHD, sometimes you're in a work mode. So you've got to get today's work done and tomorrow's work done because tomorrow you may not be able to do the work.
That's true.
Or,
Sometimes you'll
right,
leave. You'll leave. You'll be like, tomorrow me will get it done. Meanwhile,
right,
tomorrow me
right,
is like, dude, what the hell? You know dang well I'm not going to be doing that shit. You know dang well
right.
it's not going to happen.
The other problem is that today me sometimes has to do what yesterday me didn't do.
All the time.
Right. And
Hmm.
so, with all of those expectations and requirements that other people put on me and I put on myself, and we have this whole idea of like this guilty pleasure concept.
Hmm.
And I feel like I'm a permission seeker. I'm
Hmm.
very type A about things. I want to be allowed to do things. So, for those of you who are listening who need it, this is Kai. I'm Kryss. We're giving you permission. You do not need to feel guilty about your pleasure. Enjoy the things that make you happy, enjoy
Amen.
the things that bring you that joy, share it with other people. If you think a kind thought about a person, message them, tell them. I was telling Kai before we started recording, I am a big believer in consent and in personal space. And also, when I see his videos and they make me feel like somebody gets me, or I see the comments and you guys are all talking about, like, oh my God, that sounds like me. I want to like jump through the screen and be like, Kai, I love you, and just big hug, because I feel like there's joy in feeling seen and heard and understood and one of us rather than the only one.
Hmm. I agree. It's a good feeling. Like it's it feels good to know that the stuff that I do can have an effect, like a positive effect on people. And that's not me being like braggadocious. It's just, it's a very fulfilling thing for me because as a content creator, sometimes I do forget why I'm doing it, right? Like sometimes it does feel like a task that I need to get done. It's like, okay, well, I have to post a video today. I have to post a blog. I have to do a podcast. I have to do the, sometimes it does feel that way. But then I get easily reminded when I receive an email or a DM or a comment from people saying, hey, I never really thought much about ADHD before you started popping up on my For You page. And now I got tested. And now, come to find out, I've had ADHD my whole life. I'm 60 something years old. And now I feel like I have better control of my life. That's very fulfilling for me. And so when it comes to joy, like that kind of stuff brings me joy. It really, really does because it, it makes me remember why I'm doing this, and it makes me so happy to see that I could be somebody's, validation because I no,
Yeah,
not everybody can find that. Not everybody has that.
right. And I love finding out what brings other people joy because it's stuff
Hmm.
I never discovered before.
Yeah.
The Tiny Chef show was new to me. That one I just discovered because it popped up in my feed of some sort. And
Hmm.
now I'm minorly obsessed with this little creature that speaks with a weird little accent and makes me really happy.
Hmm.
My partner's son, who is my son now,
Hmm.
gave us a video of this goldfish that's La Poisson Steve. My partner's name is Steve. It is
Hmm.
ridiculous and takes 3 seconds out of my day. And for whatever reason, it just brings me so much joy. And
Hmm.
all these artists that are coming up with using this same song to make their own little videos of this little goldfish
Yeah.
makes me really happy. And
Yeah.
I think people understand to click on things to watch them, but y'all don't understand that the joy you bring us because you put in those comments. And when you say, I didn't know that I had ADHD until you made me look it up, or I thought I was the only one who felt this way about something, or the only one who geeked out or nerded out about this topic, and then I found somebody that was into it. That kind of stuff, my whole week is better. Like people that read my books and send me messages or send me an email and ask me a question, or somebody that tells me I'm a high school student and I used your book as a resource, my month is just made. Like
Hmm.
that email took them 30 seconds. They've probably forgotten about it right after they've sent it. Just like
Right.
comments maybe on some of your reels and feeds and posts and things. But man, are those the greatest things ever, especially when the news is so bad.
Yeah. Yeah. I one of the things, and this is one of the things I struggle with from an ADHD standpoint. And I know that other people struggle with it, and I'm curious your thoughts here. Because of my ADHD, obviously, there's a lot going on in my head at one time, and because of that, it's hard for me to appreciate the little things, right? Because one of the ADHD struggles that I have, and I know a lot of ADHDers have, is in order to we feel like we have to earn joy,
Mhm.
and we can only earn it by being productive sometimes, or at least thinking that we accomplished something. And whenever I think you were mentioning this before, like that guilt that we feel,
Mhm.
it's really, really hard to appreciate the little things. And so one of the things that I've been working on is to not overlook the small things that bring me joy, even if it's something dumb like, hey, Chris made me smile today, or I listened to, the Rent soundtrack and I, felt good. Like it may not seem like it's much, but I try to appreciate those little things because it gave me like this feeling of safety and comfort and happiness that is sometimes hard to come by. And I think a lot of people with ADHD struggle with that. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I have found that sometimes what works for me, I'm not great at doing things for myself,
Hmm.
but I'm really good at like, I always refer to it as like somebody else's mom mode,
Mm,
where like, will I remember to feed myself today? It's
mm,
debatable. But will I
mm.
remember to make sure that you eat today? Will I cook
Yeah.
you dinner and then happen to eat because I also made dinner? Yes, I'm definitely going to make sure that you eat.
Hmm.
And so when I try to look at joy, I look at it as not just like, did somebody say something nice to me and I need to absorb it for me, but looking at it as I feel like I owe that person. Like if you spent 30 seconds of your life writing a nice comment under something I post, how disrespectful is it of me to blow off the 30 seconds you spent and your time and your personality to not absorb, to not
Sure.
take in, to not appreciate it? And even though it's just sort of a reframe,
Hmm.
even though you don't know because you're maybe a rando on the internet to me, kind of a thing, all of our time is spent on something and we
Right.
only have so many hours and so many minutes and so many days, and we don't all comment on stuff. We're all people who I think are guilty of just like scroll and more scrolling and also scrolling. And so
Hmm.
when somebody stops and is like, Kai, man, that thing you said about cheese or the Rent soundtrack or Gilmore Girls or
Yeah.
your baseball team that you dig, I felt that. That's somebody that paused their day to be like, I'm trying to make a connection with you, fellow human, and have a fellow human moment
Hmm.
because I feel good having that moment with you. And so
Right.
sometimes for me, it helps to look at it that way so I can be like, you know what? Who am I and how dare I not allow that moment to get absorbed?
Right.
But I will say, like, having been on reality TV, when people have approached me and talked about it, I do feel really awkward. I do feel like that whole I don't know what to do with my hands thing of like, I'm
Yeah.
not really sure how that's true because I see myself as like in my sweats, chilling on my couch,
Yeah.
cookies
Yeah.
and chocolate watching Golden Girls. I don't see myself as being impactful to other people. But I think that it is really important that we're doing what we can. And I think if I can be impacted and accept the impact of what's on the news that's harmful, I've got to at least allow myself the same amount of feeling and space to be impacted by the good stuff too.
I agree. And I'm glad that you brought up like the real world aspect of it because it can be very exhausting sometimes. I try to stay up to date with like the news, obviously, because I just feel I need to know what's happening. But it's also I also try to take time away and because it is very exhausting and it's easy to burn out when you feel like everything is just going wrong or it's just everything is off. So how can somebody find joy when they feel as though everything around them is on fire? How does somebody, especially if they're neurodivergent, how does somebody
Mhm.
find joy if they feel like everything around them is on fire?
I mean, I think we acknowledge that everything around us really is on fire.
Sure.
And this isn't, we're not gaslighting ourselves or each other and pretending it's worse than it is. It's bad right now. I'm a big believer in what I call dopamine dressing, and
Mm,
it's wearing things that make me happy. I'm obsessed with all things tie dye. I have been my whole life. So I am always wearing at least one thing tie dye. It just makes me happy to see it.
sure.
I like, as a neurodivergent person, I have certain textures that make me really
Mm-hmm.
happy. So I have blankets around or I have a covering over the couch I sit on that make me happy texturally.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, there's food that I like the taste or the mouth feel of, and it's trying to find those moments of what are the things that make me even momentarily happy. Like, I can't fix what's on the news, but if I'm going to watch the news, I can watch the news while wearing clothes that don't have seams that bother me.
Sure.
I am a
Yeah.
barefoot person.
Yeah.
I hope that the comments on this one are more on my side than opposed. I literally have a barefoot footprint tattoo because I'm such a believer in barefoot. I don't like seams on socks.
Yeah.
They make me want to climb out of my skin. And so it's one of these things of like, if I'm going to watch the news, if I'm going to live in this world that I can't fix, I can fix the fact that I don't have to put socks on my feet.
That's
I
true.
don't have to wear shoes with things on them that make me want to climb out of my body. And
Mm-hmm.
I can put on, there's a tie dye artist that I love who's called Thriving in Tie Dye. I can go shop on her page. And even if I'm not buying things, looking at all the pretty colors and the pretty art and knowing that this person exists in the world that makes pretty art things can bring some joy, even if the TV's on in the background talking about how everything's on fire. And I
Yeah.
think we can't pretend the fire's not there, but we don't have to be, we can be in it without being of it and not become part of the problem. I think we can be those people that when we're scrolling, if you think a kind thought about the content somebody makes, give it a second, give it a follow or a thumbs up or a comment or a whatever, and let somebody know that the effort that they're putting into what they're building was impactful. You don't like what
Mm-hmm.
somebody else says. If somebody else is brave enough to share something in the comments, give them some love. And I think the more we can have these little bits of love, the more we can stop a stranger on the street and be like, hey, the color of your shirt really looks good on you.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, the thing you were just talking about last week, totally me too. Even if it's like, hey, you mentioned you're struggling with this, so am I. We feel less alone. And I think that there's some sort of, I don't know if joy is the word, but contentment in
Sure.
feeling less alone in a world where they try to make us feel like we're the only ones being isolated going through an experience.
Yeah. What about the times when somebody feels as though like they do maybe they do find joy, maybe they do find happiness, but they feel it's inappropriate to feel
Mhm.
happy when somebody either around them is feeling happy or things that are happening around them are not so happy. Like how does somebody navigate that? Because I understand that sometimes. Sometimes I'll be happy and I'll be like, I can't express my happiness right now because I feel like that'll diminish some of the sadness around me and invalidate people around me sometimes. So like, is that a problem that you've seen from your end before? And how do people navigate that in a healthy way?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's either or. The same way that they talk about like there's no such thing as the oppression Olympics.
Mm,
And I don't think that sadness is also a spectrum. If you're
mm-hmm,
sad about something and I'm sad about something, we don't have to debate whose thing is sadder. On a scale of 1 to 10, how sad do you feel versus how
mm-hmm.
sad do I feel?
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
if we're sad, we're sad. And it's okay to be sad. And it's also okay to feel multiple things at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
There are people that talk about finding joy or laughter sometimes at a funeral moment, or looking at what's happening in the news and recognizing that sometimes when a lot of people die, not everybody dies and somebody survives. And we can be happy that somebody survived. We can be happy for the things that survive in the midst of the chaos. We don't have to choose one side or the other. And I think that we can be respectful of somebody's sadness and what somebody's going through, and we can sit with them in their sadness. I think there's
Mm-hmm.
definitely this concept of problematic, don't be sad. I'm going to make you happy. You have to pretend to be happy so I feel better and you don't feel sad, which is not useful.
Mm-hmm.
As friends, as people who love each other, we can say to somebody, I get that you're sad. Would you like me to try to cheer you up? Do you want me to sit with you in your sadness? Do you need some space? What do you need? And your sadness doesn't mean that I separately can't have any joyous moments either, and
Right.
vice versa, so that we're all feeling that mix of joy while we're still stressed, while we're still struggling, while we're
Mm-hmm.
still trying to heal.
Right. I feel like sometimes people in marginalized communities, for a lot of us, joy can sometimes feel risky. Like it's really it could seem, I don't know how else to describe it, but I feel like people in marginalized communities, joy can sometimes feel risky. What advice would you give for people in marginalized communities trying to navigate that?
I mean, I think that I'm cautious in what I say as a white faced person.
Sure.
But when we look at the history of people in different demographics, so many of these demographics, joy wasn't allowed.
Yeah.
Joy was the cause of somebody being beaten or
Mm-hmm.
being stolen away or being given more work or being medicated.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think about the joy when we get to experience it. We're experiencing joy openly in a way that our ancestors didn't get to, didn't
Mm-hmm.
have permission to, didn't have access to. And so I look at that and I think about what are the ways that I get to live? Whose shoulders do I stand on? And that might mean biological relatives. That might mean for me, all women in general. It might mean different ethnicities of women. It might mean women who have had the academic degrees that I have or live in the city that I live in. Whatever the heck that means for each individual, getting to be happy, getting to smile, getting to be joyous is something that people didn't always get to do. And so to me, it's not only a gift that I accept when you and your reels, for example, and your stories bring me joy,
Yeah.
but I get to give a gift to my ancestors by being openly joyous in a way that they had to fight for me to get to live this life where I get to be in an openly joyous way.
Well, as an activist though, there's a seriousness to activism, right? But you still need to protect your joy. So how do you personally balance that? How do you personally balance the seriousness of activism with also the need to protect your joy?
I mean, it's debatable whether I do it well some days.
Sure.
There are some
What?
days
You're
that I,
human? You don't have it
right,
all figured out? What the
I know.
heck?
Don't tell. It's a secret. Don't tell
I
anybody.
only have
Don't
people on
tell
this
anyone.
podcast that have it figured out, Kryss. That's it. Nobody
Don't
else.
tell anyone that I'm human. It's a secret I've been desperately trying to keep. I mean, I think there are some days where I just sort of sit and stare at the TV
Yeah,
and I got nothing. And there are some days where the only thing that gets me through is Rachel Maddow on TV
sure.
or John Oliver. And
Mhm.
when they both go on break at the same time, it is a sad week for
Yeah.
me because I feel like I desperately need their logic and their humor and their capacity for things to find some sort of grounding for me in that week.
They're both very
And
good at explaining things
yeah,
in a
yeah, in a
very
way that
like,
makes me not feel
yeah.
crazy.
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
And,
Hmm.
and I use that word because we do come as neurodivergent people from ancestry where being neurodivergent was seen as crazy and was, medicated or drugged or lobotomized.
Sure.
And
Hmm.
what does that mean? And sometimes it's just a bad day. And
Hmm.
sometimes the best I can do is just say to myself, you know what? You're allowed to have a bad day. The least
Hmm.
you need to do in your bad day, don't beat yourself up and make it worse.
Right.
Just let yourself have the day. Try
Right.
again tomorrow.
And give
And
yourself some grace.
sometimes, right. And sometimes the only good thing about the day is that piece of cheese. And I'm lying to you. Sometimes the good thing about the day is the entire block of cheese. It's not a
Yes.
piece of cheese, it's a whole block of
Eat the
cheese.
whole thing. Eat the whole thing. No judgment
You're
from
gonna love
me.
it.
No
Right. The
judgment.
whole thing. If it wasn't meant to be that way, it wouldn't be wrapped in a package like that. That is a serving size. I do not care what the wrapper says.
Even if it says family of four, I now identify as a family of four. Like that's just
Exactly.
it's how it
Exactly.
works.
Because the
How it
day
works.
is hard enough. And if today I am a family of four, so be it.
So be it. Give myself grace. It brings
Right.
me joy.
Right. Right. And sometimes it's
Yeah.
looking on my social media and it's looking
Yeah.
at the news feed and I'm intentional in my news feed that I
Hmm.
do have activism things. I also have tie-dye in there. I also have the tiny chef in there. I also have La Poisson Steve in there. I also have hint hint the vibe with Kai in there. There are some moments where the day is bad and I watch this gentleman typically wearing a hat that some of y'all may have seen before, hint hint wink wink, talking about his love of cheese. And you
Yeah.
know what? Sometimes the best I got is that sounds good. I'm going to go get me some cheese. And that's the best I got for that whole day. And I try to remind myself in those moments it's okay for me to do nothing, but
Hmm.
just enjoy 30 seconds of somebody's reel or story.
Hmm.
Sometimes what makes me feel better is going on to our friend Kai's comments and saying, thanks for eating cheese. Thanks for enjoying cheese and reminding me that I like cheese.
Yeah.
Thanks for making me feel okay about the fact that I just ate a block of cheese. Because sometimes what makes me feel better is saying something kind to somebody else and trying to make sure that the people that I care about know, hey, your day is busy. You're seeing the same crazy news I'm seeing. And also, you're making content that makes me feel better. So thanks for showing up for me, even if I'm a stranger on the internet and we've never met.
I think I'm gonna like the last 2 minutes of what you just said. I'm just gonna. I wish I could frame that and just have it play every morning when I wake up. I'm like, this is why I do it.
Deal.
This is why I do
Deal.
this
We'll,
stuff.
we'll put it in writing in a fun font. We'll frame it up
Yes.
on your wall.
Yes. Deal. Deal.
I'm totally into it.
Chris, if as we close this out here, if there's somebody here that's listening to or watching this episode, and you want them to only remember one thing outside of cheese, you want them to remember one thing about finding joy and accepting joy in their life, what would that one thing be?
Look for the little bits. I
Hmm.
think so often we think about joy as being like, hey, I bought a house. Hey, I had a baby. Look at me, I got married. Look at
Hmm.
this new car that I own. Look at these big giant things. Look at this, celebrity on a yacht that I wish I could be on. Even if it's like, look at me, I drew a bubble bath. For people who don't have tubs or don't have the energy to put bubbles in their bathtub, I think joy is like glitter. I think it's little bits sometimes. Look for the shiny little bits of things. Look for the moment and take your moments where you can find them. Make them where you can. But even if you don't have the energy to make them, accept them from other people, from other places, accept them from your social media pages. Go find the things that make you happy. Fill up your news feed with them so that you're giving yourself dopamine hits. Wear the clothes that make your skin and your body happy. Look at the guy in the hat talking about cheese. Read the comments and see other people being like, yo, Kai, thanks for that, because that means somebody else was happy for that moment. Be happy with them in that moment. The more the little bits all start to come together and they become, shall we say, slices of happiness that become wedges of happiness, and happiness is cheese.
Yes, amen to that. Dr. Chris, you're amazing. I appreciate you so much. There's a reason that I had you back on, because you are joy to me,
Oh,
embodied in human form. So thank you, honestly, thank you so much for sharing your insight and reminding us that joy isn't just a feeling. It's so much more than that, especially for all of us that are navigating ADHD or navigating whatever mental health journey that we're on, navigating being in a marginalized community, navigating so many different things. If you are listening or watching right now and you're like, I like this person, I like them a lot, be sure to follow Kryss on social media. Check out Kryss's books and talks and all the incredible work that she's doing here on social media. I'm going to include all of the handles in the description of this podcast. And my friends, if today's conversation sparked something for you, whatever it may be, I do want to hear about it. Please share your story. Share your favorite Golden Girls episode. I believe that was an
Yes,
action
please.
item. That is a homework assignment. But share, and if you want, just share one small joy that you're holding on to today. I think that kind of stuff is really important to share. And if this episode resonated with you, please go, if you're watching or if you're listening on Spotify or Apple, whatever it may be, leave a rating, leave a review. Let me know what you thought. Because the more ratings and reviews that we get, the more easy it'll be for people to find our little family over here. So thank you so much for watching and for listening. Thank you, Dr. Kryss Shane, for being my guest today. Until next time, my friends, go be kind to yourself. Take up space. And as always, my loves, much love and good vibes. I'll talk to you later. Goodbye.